So back in now with the 2B pencil, and we are going to put in tone all over the image. And we are obviously going to, the highlights are up here on the top of a hair and then down on the back and the top of the shoulder. And that's going to be the bare paper. So even this bit in the background over here, it's very, very light and wispy. But, you know, we've got a highlight down here by the side of her arm. And so I'm just going to use the side of a 2B pencil. And we're going to fill in the shapes quickly, but just with one tone primarily, because we'll then build everything up afterwards. Now I've just filled in that little bit. Of that one particular shape. And here from this little circle, there's a kind of diamond before we get the slightly darker tone. So I'm doing a mid-tone and a very light tone really. So here again now I'm filling the tone in all the way down the back. There's a highlight on that strap. And then we've got all the way down her arm. And you'll get used to filling in larger areas like this. Just got some spent bits of rubber, just brush them off so that I don't ingrain dirt in. And just practice, draw some shapes, draw some rectangles, triangles, circles, and then just get a pencil like this and fill them in. And just practice. Like I say, I'm pivoting from my shoulder, my hand's not resting on the paper. And if you actually practice, you'll find that you can... I'm just finding bits of spent rubber, and that'll make a dirty black mark in your drawing. Now again, that's all the way down the arm, and the more practice you do, so now I'm just going to go up the wrist. I've got the highlight on the inside, so I'm just going to be careful not to go over that. Come all the way up the fingers and the hand. And then we can just fill in the dress. And that's just literally filling in a large area very, very quickly. And we're just putting a simple little layer of tone down. And then we can build up on top of it with more and more detail. So because there's no strong highlights on the face, we can go all the way up across the face, just going straight over the top of the eyes. here rather than doing it in sections. Over the ear, then into the hair, behind the ear in this bun, and then on the front. Again, I'm pressing on a little bit darker where the hair is over the forehead, just because it's that little bit darker in tone. Again, coming over to the curve where that strong highlight is. Now, what I'm going to do is very lightly, I'm not going right to the edge of the paper. I'm going to fill in the background lightly now. And again, I'm literally just pivoting the pencil in my fingers quite freely. And the reason I'm doing this is because all of the images are slightly grey, and just having that little bit of tone is going to help. Again, I'm just dusting off some little bits of eraser that we're picking up some of the pencil. Again, I did this on Lunar Love God, but we did it quite late on. But because this is so soft an image, kind of need to do it. Again, I'm just finding I'm picking up little bits of spent eraser. But by filling in the paper now, it means I actually get, I mean, one, I've got to be careful because I don't want to keep smudging everything. But it means that the tones will work together and the highlights will stand out. Now, again, I've just filled in all of that paper very, very quickly. And this is just something that I do. I'm going to get my piece of kitchen roll, use tissue, and I'm just going to smooth all of these lines down, but I'm being careful. Going next to tailor as carefully as I can. Now again, there's more tone in and around this. Yeah, the out of focus background. Again, I'm now pushing this tone around Taylor's body. And this is just a nice simple mid-tone that we can build on because the highlights are up here. So wherever we put a highlight, we know it's going to stand out. So we can go right up onto the head and the face, and up into the hair. Now you can just do cross-hatching if you want, but I just like doing, again, this is kind of photorealism, but very quick. Now again, you would have to spend hours on one part. And so it's just something that I do, and you can see it build up the areas quite quickly. Now again, I'm coming in with a 4B pencil because it's very soft. And I'm just looking where these kind of fuzzy out of focus background bits are. It's called bokeh, the camera out of focus camera effect. So I'm using the soft flat of the pencil just to create some of these bokeh-y tones. Again, if you want to mimic these perfectly, then you've got to spend ages doing them all. Again, coming up to the hair next to the face. Got this kind of highlighted area here, and when we pull out the hair using the putty rubber, that'll be absolutely fantastic. Again, I'm using the 4B pencil because it's softer and it's going down in a much softer way than the 2B pencil does. Again, you can do it with an 8B, it'd be even softer still, but 8B you can get blacker, darker tones much quicker. And this is just something that I'm just trying to be quick, showing you little techniques. So again, just these tree lines and branches, very lightly pressing on. Again, this kind of tree shape in the background. I'm doing the wider shape first, just wiggling it about and coming up to where her neck is, around that bun where the highlight is at the back. And I'm just literally wiggling it around a little bit just to get those kind of little darker shapes inside. And coming down the back of her right shoulder. And then coming down to the bottom. And again by the left arm. And there already, you can see we're just getting a slightly set of darker tones that are going to help frame, tailor and bring out all the shapes that we need on here. So again, that's all just cross hatching. I'm going to come back in with a kitchen roll. I'm just being careful and but quick. And just blending those slightly darker tones. You can see there, that's just completely softened it out. comes over, then this branch into the lighter part, and just push some tone around these kind of little wispy tree shape. And then just that tone going up and off. Behind the back, and then we've got this little bit in this little triangle inside her arm and underneath the chin. Now, if I come in with the putty rubber, and just crisp up the very strong highlights, you can see straight away we've got that really nice crisp edge. And then on the strap, I'm just dabbing on the inside of the hand next to the face. Now here I'm just pulling some of the hairs up quickly, and you can see straight away we've got that lovely wispy set of highlights on her hairs, just dancing around behind her head. Again, the same on the back of this bun, that it's pulled together on the top. And then some of the highlights right the way up to the top. And then this strong highlight coming right over the front. And just some of the hairs, again, just indicating quickly. All of these fantastic wispy hairlines. And again, you could use, like I say, I've got this Tombow, not had a go of it yet. Yeah, that does wispy hairs quite nice. And you don't have to keep pinching it together. Coming down the side of the face. Yeah, that's rather an interesting little tool. That'll come in handy. Again, just highlights of the hair. So that already is looking rather lovely. So that's the first kind of layer of tone down, and then we're going to build up more and just start accentuating some of the details and the darker tones. But it's a very soft image, so again we've got to work very carefully, just filling the tones in, and then all of a sudden it'll look like the image will come together. But anyway, we'll just carry on adding more tone next. So now we're going to come in with a 4B pencil and we're going to start shading up all around Taylor's eyes. And I'm going to darken. So again, this is the 4B pencil. I got a... So I was just looking, I've got one in a pencil extender that we will use as well. As this looks very, very new, because it is, it's a brand new pencil. But again, we've got this fantastic soft edge. So I'm not putting down, and you'll see this work. This is, in a way, this is almost like the Mona Lisa, Leonardo da Vinci's The Mona Lisa. There's no hard, crisp edge. So we've got just some eyelashes coming off, but it's just nice dark tone all around the edge of her eye, and going up to the tear duct in the corner, and then her iris and the pupil. And then you've got the iris around the pupil. It's just a little bit lighter. Again, you've got a little bit of shadow underneath the upper eyelid. And then curving down. And already you can see we've got that eye starting to look out at us. So very lightly filling in the eyeball, darker above the top. Now this, we could use probably end up using the paintbrush as well later on to soften, or just use the pencil, just literally build up the tone. So here we have the crease above her upper eyelid, and the crease on the corner going off, and it's going up right up to this bright hair that's coming across. But we've got the shape that's coming down. Now the reason I'm using the 4B pencil and not the 2B is because it's softer. So again, just like the line above her eye, I'm doing the same going underneath. And you can see there's that kind of crease line that follows the lower eyelid. And now I'm going to use the complete flat of the pencil, nice and soft. I'm going to quickly fill in the shape of her left eye socket. And because there's no highlights on the eye, it doesn't matter if you kind of just run over it a little bit. Because it's all going to work in the tone. So here you can see we're coming down the side of a nose. There's that little bit of shadow that goes up and above the nose. And in a sense we're kind of cross-hatching, but with the flat of the pencil. We need that soft going off to the corner, and then we come down underneath the eye, and this is the beauty of using the tonal quality of a softer pencil as well. So there you can see straight away we've got real lovely shape and form starting to appear. Little bit of darker shape, the eyebrow coming out underneath that highlighted part, above the highlight. We've got that darker shape caused by the hair coming over, going to that little kind of rectangle. There's a little V shape in it. But we can just bring that slightly darker tone all the way over. And then we've got the tone above, and a little V shape right above the nose there. Now, slightly lighter coming down the nose. I'm going to put the dark in on her eyebrow. Then we've got some darker tone here. You've got the edge of her head that's going up underneath that hair to the eyebrow. And we've got some darker tone just coming over the front of her forehead a little bit to where it comes down to the nose. Now, I'm going to come in carefully and we're going to do the same on Taylor's right eye as we did on the left. So the underneath of her eyelid, her eyelashes, we've got a wider just curve that comes back on itself slightly into the eye, edge of the eye and the eye socket. And then we have the lower eyelid. Again, I'm using the tip of the pencil but very softly. And then we've got the iris right in the corner, nice and soft but dark, and then the pupil right in by the nose. And that's helping to create that dark line that's framing the nose. And we can darken the iris. And then the crease of her upper eyelid comes over. And then we can see we've got that curve of a nose going up into the eye socket itself. And then dark going above the upper eyelid coming over. And then just slightly lighter from the edge, but obviously we want the darkest part of her head next to the highlight in the background. And there you can see straight away we're starting to get really good, nice form appearing. Now again, her eyelash comes out a bit. The same on the bottom one. Again, I'm just doing it very soft and slightly blurred. And then we need to darken the pupil down, and then underneath her lower eyelid we've got that slightly darker tone. And there you can see we've got two really lovely eyes starting to stare out of the page at us. And again, just very carefully increasing the tone. As I always say, it's much easier to add tone than to take it away. And this is what you're doing. You're doing a tonal exercise with no real hard edges to build up this drawing of Taylor. So now we're going to come down by the side of a lip. We've got the edge going up to where her right nostril is underneath. Just building the tone. Then we want to go around the front of her nose and up the cheek to the dark underneath the eye. And if you kind of squint, you'll see that this is pretty much a silhouette, but it's not obviously jet black. It's a tonal kind of silhouette. We want the dark underneath the cheek and a little bit of a highlight here as the cheek goes around the corner. Then we can just intensify the edge of a cheek. That's already looking really lovely. Now, the triangle in between the centre part of her upper lip, right above the upper lip, it going up to the nose. Got a little dark triangle. There we've got the right nostril. Then we've got the left nostril. We've got this little curve that comes over. And then a bit more black at the back. And then we just need to really soften that off. Again, we're going to bring the tone down her nose, and we've got the highlight on the top of her nose. So we're just trying to leave that going all the way around. Again, just increasing the dark underneath the eye right next to the nose. Then we've got the little dark line right on the top, on the front of her nose, that then comes down to curve underneath. So now we're going to bring that tone all across from the lip up to underneath the left nostril, and then the curve over the top coming down to the edge of the left nostril where it joins the cheek. Then we've got a slightly lighter bit, and here there's a bit like a love heart shape of lighter tone. So I'm just doing the dark around the outside. You can see there we've got that little love heart shape. And fill that little bit of tone in. And then take that tone up the front of her nose and then curving up her forehead. That's actually really lovely. So now I'm using the complete flat of the pencil. I can see the end is really starting to go down, but that's good. And so what I want to do is quickly put in more of the dark around Taylor's face, but we've got this area of light here and this area of light here on a cheek, then coming down underneath the nose. So just filling in little bits. That's the entrance to the ear canal, that little shape, so I'm doing that a little bit darker. And the edge of the ear, how that curves under. Then we've got this light bit here on this tone coming across and then coming up. And it just darkens as we come over. So just using the 4B pencil, but very lightly. And increasing carefully where we need, just indicate, like so there underneath the ear. Got a little bit of shadow coming down. And then going down underneath the neck. Coming across the chin. Around by the thumb. And then we've got a couple of little reflected highlights underneath, so I'm just filling the tone in a little bit. And then as we add more dark, the highlights will show up. But you can see how we're just adding tone and building up the form and structure of Taylor's face. So now we're coming up all over a cheek, leaving that little highlighted bit. Little highlight bit there, little highlight bit there. Now, coming down by the side of her nose and the cheek where there's a darker passage. It's a bit like an X. We just need to increase that tone a little bit. And then coming down underneath the lips, the lower lip, shadow caused by a thumb on a chin, then we come over to the creases that come right to his shoulder. There's a nice patch of shadow there. Right, going down to the shoulder. And then the bottom part of a jaw going to a chin. We've got that darker line that comes across, and then you can see we've got that diagonal that goes up, and you see they've got that little highlight there. On the edge of a chin, and then underneath a lip. And then a cheek comes out and comes down. And then here we have going up the cheek to her ear. And her eye going up underneath the hair. Already you can see we've got this lovely shape and form really starting to appear. So now we want the dark inner mouth, from the corner of her mouth going over above her teeth. Again, I'm just using the tip of the pencil, but very soft. So I'm not putting sharp lines down that are going to be hard to soften off. And again, I'm drawing as quickly as I would normally. Then we've got the edge of her lips coming up. And her upper lip. But just not putting hard, solid lines down. So now the darker tone, the shadow of her lips, just making it darker than the cheek. Again, just keep going backwards and forwards, just increasing the amount of tone a little bit. So again, coming up the edge, coming round, and then filling in the inner part of the lip. And that's really lovely. Now again, I'm going to come in, I'm going to use the used putty rubber because it won't pull off as much pencil. So I'm getting a bit of a highlight on the top, the side of the lip, the V right on the top, and then down the edge of her outer lip, going over onto her cheek. And then dabbing inside the lip very, very carefully. Kind of a reflected highlight. But there you've got that darker tone, but now you've got that reflected highlight inside the lip as well. Now, same on the lower lip. The tone is very similar to the shadow all around the chin. And there's a highlight here. So, drawing around the top of the thumb. Then just filling the lips in. And then darkening right in the corners where we need. And then underneath, then we've got a kind of shadow that comes up and over, just to the right of her teeth. Right to the, yeah, it's like on the right hand side of her face, where we've got this highlight right on the edge of her lip. And then again, just increasing the tone a little bit inside the lips. And the teeth. Just again, filling the tone in, darker in the corner, just coming across. And there's Taylor really starting to look out at us. And we're just building up these tones slowly and letting the shading do all the work for us. Carrying on with the 4B pencil, we're now going to fill a lot of the tone in around the rest of the body. And we're going to start with the hand. Now, I'm going for this kind of new mid-tone because it's relatively darker. Now we've got a highlight between the first finger and thumb. So we just need to be a little bit careful while we're filling this area in. Again, I'm just using the soft flat side of the 4B pencil. And we're just filling all of this hand in. So coming down the edge of the hand, the thumb, the fingers. And it's just a case of being careful, but we need to fill it in as quickly as possible. So again, the fingers behind the thumb. This is where, as I said, it's a silhouette. This is going to work for us quite well. Because we're looking up here where the dark is, and you can see already that the face is lifted out. And so as long as you're consistent with your tone, it's all going to work for you very, very well. So now coming down, we've got little bits of shade in the hand. We've got this highlight. Coming down the arm. Now I'm going to darken the line where the crease is between the forearm and the upper arm. Again, using the soft part of the pencil. And the same at the back of the arm where it joins on the back. Now I'm just coming down with the tone all the way down the forearm, right the way down. Now it lightens up as it comes around here, and so we need to be careful because we want the tone to change as it goes around. Taylor's arm. Now, again, I'm just being very careful. I've just noticed some little bits of spent eraser again. And so I'm bringing this column, and there is a reflected highlight, but I'm bringing this column of tone down first. All the way down her arm. And then we need to be careful to not do things like that. Now, here as we come down, we're going to have more tone, like this curve of her arm brings a slightly darker shadow down. Now, I'm still using the flat of the pencil, but trying not to bounce it on the page. I am bringing a lighter tone down and across. And then coming down her arm. So as we've got the tone changing as it goes around the cylindrical shape of her arm. Now again, underneath her arm here, we've got a shadow as well. And then again now on her back, where we already put the tone down first, so here right in the spine, we've got a little darker amount of tone. Again underneath the right shoulder blade. And you can feel underneath the pencil because you're going so light when you find like a bit of grit or a bit of rubber. Just going to sharpen the pencil. Because the flat bits were getting so flat that it was starting to get too scratchy. See, now I've got consistent soft tone again, because I was fighting against the edges of a flattened pencil. So now coming up Taylor's back, and again you can just do this with cross hatching if you want. You don't have to blend it, as I will in a bit. But you can see already that's, we're getting extra tonal value. Now again, her right arm, it needs to be darker next to the dress, and then a dress underneath her arm needs to be a little bit darker. We've got the shadow caused by the arm. That's just going to completely soften out. And then again, just building some tone up in the dress, just so as the values are the same. Tone in the strap, and that edge, how that goes up. Now again, we still need to build it down. That hand is very similar to the shadow next to it, and so there's no form there at the moment. If I come in again with, I'm going to use a clean part of the kitchen towel, and I just push the pencil around, you can see straight away we've got a much nicer, and that's actually getting darker the more you press on. Because you're picking the pencil up and just pushing it around a little bit. So again, going up to the highlight on the shoulder. Now again, right on the central part, I'm literally just going up and down and forcing the pencil to blend. Now I'm just circling a little bit. And you can see now we've got that lovely soft tone going down the arm. Again, right next to the edge. Again, I'm going over the line. So as we're softening everything. And then I can bring the tone down the arm. And we've got that lovely highlight down the back of her arm created by the pencil tone. And again, we'll just build it up more as we go around. So now all on the dress, just pushing that around. Now, you see that's getting quite dirty. Now on her arm, I'm going to bring the tone down and fill this area in. Now I'm going to use a clean bit again. Now I'm going right up to the edge, but just being very careful. Now I'm going up her wrist, going up towards her hand, over where the fingers are, the thumb. And just by pushing the pencil around like this, because it's soft edged, you're just creating a really lovely ambient effect. It's just all soft and hazy. Now again, over on the neck. And because it's so wide and soft, using the kitchen towel is actually doing you a favour. Again, I'm being very careful around the nose and the eyes. But just pushing that tone around. And that's really looking very lovely. And you can see, you know, if I put the pencil next to it, you can see how it's kind of evaporating into the mist in a sense. But we just need to build up the tones a little bit more. Now I'm going to come in with the clean putty rubber, because I want this as sharp as possible. That's looking rather lovely. That's really looking lovely. And again, we just need to continue to build. Slowly and carefully. Again, pulling up the top of the shoulder. And then a strap on the back of her dress. So now I'm going to come in. I'm going to darken up the chin. Around the lips and around the thumb. But again, where I would press on really hard and get the sharp point, I'm not doing that because I want this soft edge. Again, you can see I'm just darkening in around the teeth. And that gives fantastic definition. So again, because we just softened everything off using the kitchen towel, if I now come in and redarken around Taylor's, the bits in the centres in Taylor's lips and around her eyes, it all gets much sharper, but it's using soft edges. Again, that's the upper eyelid and eyelashes on Taylor's right eye. Then the corner of a tear duct. Again, that eye just needs darkening down. The eyeball does. And the eyelashes on lower eyelid. That's absolutely fantastic.